Once again, we are diving back into the world of total conversion mods with Bannerlord. While many are still in development, the work that has been done still deserves to be highlighted. On our last adventure, we looked into Warhammer Fantasy, but now it's time to take this voyage into the deep ancient past. Eagle Rising takes players back to the Antiquity period with major players such as Rome, Carthage, and various others vying for power. Along with the medieval period, it's one of my favorite time periods to explore and play with in various video games. Is this another great mod to check out on the workshop, or does it still need a bit more time to develop? As a side note, this mod requires a crap ton of additional mods, including the realistic battle mod. I'll have all the links in the description below, as well as the recommended order of mods that you should use. I don't want to bog down the video too much with this information, so feel free to comment below if you need any help getting this to work. I give no guarantees, but I'll do the best I can. And now, onto the video. When you start up the game, you'll notice quite a bit of new loading screens. I always love the artwork and work put into these, and they do a great job in getting you in the right mind space for what you should expect. As for the game itself, we will play the sandbox mode as I have always done. I like sandboxes, so this is my preferred mode. Instead of just 6, you have 12 cultures to choose from, and while this does seem awesome at first, it really is only recommended to pick one of the first 6, as the others are incredibly bugged. Similar to many other mods in general, there's quite a bit of bugs and glitches here, but I'll address those later on in this video. For now, we will begin our adventure with Tala, a horse bowman from the Scythian tribes looking to travel the world. And the world is certainly worth exploring just for the simple fact that you'll be traveling through Europe and can head pretty far east if you so desire. Along with the main mod that needs to be installed, you'll need Lemmy's Map of Europe, along with a sub-mod that is more in line with the Antiquity period. One of the unique features of this map is the use of ferry points. From here and various ports, you can take a one-way boat to a certain location, or purchase your own fleet to travel the ocean with it. At first, paying the ferry is fine, but ends up getting pretty expensive as you amass a large group of people. It's a cool little feature that plans to be expanded upon with the ability to upgrade your fleets and much more. The biggest reason I love to explore the map in mods like these is just to see the different weapons and armor that you can find, and my goodness, this mod goes above and beyond in that regard. So many new items are introduced for you to play with. Even slings make an appearance, although I haven't used them personally. For me, I wanted to give an extra special shout out to the armor you can find in Eagle Rising. The variety here is astounding, and I really like the Carthaginian Bronze Musculata the most. The fit is incredibly snug and it looks badass when combined with the Carthaginian helmet. There's also a ton of shields that you can play with, including the overly large Aspis and the signature Scutum, complete with a wide amount of variations of designs. Seeing all these new assets and playing around with them is truly why I like total conversion mods so much. To add on to this, there is a unique feature where you can view the armory of the faction currently controlling the region. If you are neutral to the faction, you'll get access to the public armory. However, the full faction army is granted to those who are part of said faction. I really like this feature as I can see exactly what weapons and armor are tied to each culture. It makes it much easier to mix and match different armor pieces without having to extensively travel from town to town. But obviously, I can't just travel anywhere as I need to make some of that cash money boy to recruit some units and pay for my shining equipment. As with any Mountain Blade veteran would tell you, the best way to make money is from combat. Considering that this experience requires the realistic battle mod, there is a bit more nuance compared to the vanilla system. For one, you have a posture meter, and no, this isn't a meter determining how long you can strike a pose, nor being a stamina meter. Instead, this determines how many attacks you can dish out and block without being temporarily thrown off balance. The same system applies to enemies as well, so sometimes this is good to eventually open them up and have them potentially drop their weapon or shield. It's an interesting system that takes some time to get used to, but I do appreciate the inclusion here. It prevents me from just spamming swings like I would in the base game. There's also a lot of new variables that are being considered, with heavily armored units taking far less damage than before. In fact, the way weapons feel in general completely changed my approach. In the vanilla experience, I often used a two-handed swinging weapon paired with a glaive and maybe a throwing weapon if I was feeling a little frisky. Since this is ancient warfare, those weapons are not available and swinging weapons in general are just not as effective. Instead, I stuck with a bow for my ranged attack along with a spear and shield. If I needed to go close range, such as a siege battle, I would switch to the gladius and stick with thrusting attacks. The bow, while doing far more damage, took some time for me to get used to for how long it takes to pull your bow back. Even with a high bow skill, it still takes time to pull it back, which is a bit of an annoyance when the pace of the battle begins to pick up. Warfare in general is just far different from the vanilla affair. Because of the time period, there's a heavier emphasis on infantry warfare. Depending on where you're located, you'll most likely be leading infantry heavy armies, as most cultures feature infantry units to recruit. If you end up fighting in Roman cultured lands like I did for a majority of my playthrough, your armies will heavily consist of Legio and Auxilia units. Because of this, the pace is a bit slower, as most battles will feature your troops grinding it out against the enemy troops. You can still, however, field cavalry heavy armies yourself, but don't expect to find much heavy cavalry out here. Instead, most cultures feature light cavalry that acts as more as a skirmisher cavalry than anything else. You'll need to rely more on mercenaries to fill your cavalry quota. And as I always love to see this in the largest scale possible, this all comes to fruition during the large battles. Unfortunately, this is where you'll start seeing some issues. Fighting with ancient weapons is a boatload of fun, but this is where the lack of polish begins to show. For one, the frame rate drops randomly, going from 60 to 0 to 60 and back again. I haven't had this issue in the base game, nor have I had this issue with the Warhammer Fantasy mod I tried previously, and that one had even more unique assets and shaders to boot. My only theory is that there's a bottleneck due to the amount of mods that are loaded at once. Still, I'm hoping that this is something that can be addressed at some point. Siege battles are also included, which unfortunately suffer from the same performance drops as the large battles. Most of what you see here in the siege battles is similar to the vanilla experience, with the same siege engines. It's not historically accurate to see trebuchets being used by a Roman army, but it's nothing that ruins the mod or anything like that. Personally though, I would have loved to have seen the inclusion of the tortoise if you reach a certain engineering level, but I'm not sure if that can be added in. As much as I do enjoy navigating the world, there is a bit of an issue the further east you go. Many of the towns there are spread out, meaning that you'll be spending a ton of time going from one place to another, with not much in between. In addition, there are factions that just flat out didn't exist at the time, including the Golden Horde and Byzantine Rome. This problem can even be seen in the west, with the Roman faction basically controlling all of the Iberian Peninsula. This also leads to my only real major issue, and that is with the glitches. I've had numerous crashes to desktop on the overworld map, in battle, and even when pausing or trying to quit the game. I found crashes to also occur when having arena battles with the glitch cultures I mentioned before. This includes the aforementioned Golden Horde and Byzantine Rome. This is a mod where you'll need to save often to avoid losing data and having to replay battles. Also found that factions in general come across as way more passive compared to the base game. They rarely declare war with Eagle Rising, even if the council is 100% in agreement. As I joined Carthage, I spent a majority of my time at first increasing my influence to eventually declare war on Rome and some other factions. As I gained a ton of influence, this no longer became an issue, but it's something to take note of. It can get very boring as a mercenary waiting for a faction to declare war on another. Overall though, I really did enjoy my time with Eagle Rising, although I would recommend for you to heed my warning regarding the performance and glitches. Still, I have a ton of appreciation and respect to what is here so far, especially the amount of weapons and armor on display here. This combined with the realistic battle mod provides a fresh combat experience that is unique compared to the base game. Eventually, I plan on doing a different playthrough focusing mainly on being a slinger and seeing how that works out. I just hope my experience is a bit more stable the next time through. Thank you all for watching as always, and this is Powerhouse, signing off.